Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Desi Power podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about why you can never be on time. Why is it that we're now following a Muslim standard time, and why is it that we are always late, never on time? Whenever people ask, where are you? You're going to say, oh, I'm just 5 minutes away, when you know you haven't even tied your shoelaces yet. So trying to understand time management and trying to understand why you're such a chronically late person is a pretty big deal, and when you're here listening to this, it means that you're trying to change. So that's a really good positive, right? And why am I the most relatable or the best person to talk about this is because I am late, my family is late, my whole ancestry is late. So I know the frustration. I know how it is on the people who are on the receiving ends, which, sometimes I am on my family. And I also know how it is to be the late person, to have a bunch of people clap for you because you're that late. It's embarrassing, to put it simply. And it's also frustrating because sometimes you can be on time, but it feels like it takes a lot of mental struggle. So I'm going to be exploring a few reasons that you might be late. But before I start, let me just add, if you're coming before time, then that is on time. But if you're on time, then that is being late. And that is something my professor told me, and I still remember it to this day. So number one reasons, and I have 5 reasons that you may be late, or 5 reasons to understand why you're being late. Number 1, procrastination. You have to get to a class or a meeting at 10 a.m. and you woke up at 6 or maybe at 8, but you keep on procrastinating, you keep on doing something else, and you keep on delaying that you need to head out and reach there at 10 a.m., right? So maybe that's your problem. Maybe you're just procrastinating what you need to do. One of the reasons that may happen is my second reason, which is maybe there's an underlying anxiety or stress involved. Maybe you're thinking about all the traffic that's on the way, or imagining yourself rushing through, trying to, honk at the cars, get out of my way, I need to get there on time. Or you're anxious about urgently running across the house trying to find the right clothes because you can't find them anywhere, and it's so frustrating, and you can't find the right color of your shirt or a hijab or whatever, and that is why you're just very stressed or very anxious. Third reason might be that maybe you're just juggling a lot of stuff. Maybe you're struggling with time management, basic time management skills. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, but maybe you have a lot of chores to do. You have to reach university or work or your meeting, whatever, at 10 a.m. and you need to get ready, get your lunch ready, eat your breakfast, wash the breakfast dishes and whatnot. It's like a list of tasks. Feed your cat. You can add that. I have a cat. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to do, and even that is giving you stress. But juggling all of these things is what's causing you to be late, because you see all the skills that you have to juggle, that gives you stress, and then you procrastinate. So these 3 points are kind of interlinked. The fourth reason is kind of interesting, and I'm not sure if you've thought about it or if you've realized it, but people who are late often have a warped sense of time. And I recently started realizing it after listening to a YouTuber talk about it, and then that's when I realized, yes, that's definitely true. The other day, I was supposed to meet some friends of mine at 10 a.m. and one of them texted me at 9 that we're meeting up in an hour. And I was like, really? An hour already? That seems like such a long way to go, because I got up at 8 and I had plenty of time to get ready and reach there. But because I was like, oh, an hour seems like a really long time, I just kind of relaxed and went about my day and got ready in a very relaxed manner, and even did some extra tasks. And that's when I realized that I'm actually getting late and I had to rush over there. I was 10 minutes late, but it's significantly improved. Before, I would be 30 minutes late, and by Pakistan standard time, you're very late. You can get as late as 2 hours and people just start getting to the event. So that's very frustrating. And the last and the fifth reason that you may not want to acknowledge is you disrespect others' time, because this is just showing you that your time matters, but the people who are waiting at the event or at the meeting or in the classroom, maybe your teacher, their time doesn't matter. So I read something and it's pretty powerful, and I really think of this whenever I'm late. It's that when you're late to an appointment or meeting, you're essentially saying that your time is more valuable than the other person's. You're forcing them to wait for you, even though they likely have other places to be and things to do. So even though you might not want to acknowledge that, that's definitely there, and that's one of the things you're reflecting on of yourself. So there's plenty of negative consequences of being late, and I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain them to you, but for the sake of this podcast, I'm gonna delve into some of them. One is damaged relationships. You keep on being late, people lose trust in you, people don't think you're gonna be there when you're there anymore, and they don't see you with the level of respect you would want them to see you with, right? So it really damages relationships. It like hurts people, especially there's something we do in Pakistan, and I'm not sure, maybe other Muslim countries people also do this, but when you're not even out of the door and you tell them you're almost there, like that's lying essentially. Why do we even have to do that, right? But in the end, that's gonna damage that relationship, because anything you say now, you can't be trusted. They won't really believe what you're saying anymore, so you lose all that level of respect that they may have originally had for you. Number 2 is you lose reliability, because this may be in a personal setting, but it is very important in a professional setting, because it's difficult to prove yourself reliable when people are required to wait for you, right? If you can't even arrive on time at the meeting venue or wherever you're supposed to be, how can you be relied on to complete a project in time, complete something, an assignment, or lead a group project when you're never really there on time? So it makes you lose out on respectability and reliability. And you really have to think to yourself, is being 15 minutes late really worth all that harm? Like if you just save those 20 minutes and just arrive like 5 minutes before the meeting time, that would like level up your level of respect, level up your level of reliability, give you a lot more opportunities, because you're there on time, you have time to like take a breather, think of like straighten your thoughts and like just relax before you start getting into whatever you're going into. So that's a huge plus, and you're losing all of that for what, 15 minutes? That's like nothing. That's the amount of time you spend just roaming around your house, maybe, or just daydreaming or whatever. And the third important reason is that you lose a lot of opportunities. So like I said, when people don't view as reliable, they won't give those opportunities to you, but also maybe there's casual conversations happening, or there's a lot of important information being shared before a meeting, before a class, or just like this time you lose it, and you lose that socialization time, you lose those bonus points, and you just lose a lot of opportunities that someone who is on time would get naturally. And honestly, it's just pretty embarrassing. You enter into a room and you're super late, and people start making fun of you or whatever, or just looking down at you, and it's just really embarrassing. So just save yourself the trouble, save yourself the 15 minutes and try to arrive on time. There are so many virtues for being on time. Like, it increases the respect people have for you. It shows that you have self-discipline, because in essence, that's one of the most important facts, or the most important traits that a Muslim should have, right? Because prayer essentially has times, and if you don't follow those times, or if you're late, for example, to Jummah, the blessings you could have gained decrease a lot. So Islam is built on self-discipline. Islam is built on punctuality. So you really need to view that as an important skill that you need to polish, or you need to work towards. And initially, it's not going to be easy, because these people don't view you as someone who is going to be on time. So don't worry about that. Just get through it. Keep being consistent, because consistency is key no matter what you do, and be there on time. It will take a few weeks for them to kind of acknowledge or realize that you won't be late anymore and start building that trust back again. But if you keep on being consistent, they will naturally now see you as a person who comes on time. So now this is all good. Like, we now know the pros, we now know the cons, But how exactly do you be on time? Because as you know, I'm a late person. I know that it's hard to just get up one day and start being on time everywhere. It's not usually this simple. So I have a few tips for you that have really, really helped me and may help you too. So we can start. The first one is setting realistic goals. If you wake up at 8 and you have to head out by 9, you need to know that there's only so much you can do in that hour. Don't try to overstuff it so that you're panicked, you're running around the place and you just can't get out through all of those things. So set realistic goals. Don't head into the shower when you know you won't make it. Don't start cooking up food when you know you won't make it. Try to keep it simple. Just grab some breakfast, grab some quick lunch, and just get ready and head out. Don't start doing extra things like making a proper omelette or whatever. Just fry an egg. That's the most simple breakfast you can get. Just get done with it. Another example, maybe don't start cooking when you know the party is an hour away and you need 30 minutes to get there. That is definitely not realistic and just leads to a lot of stress, anxiety, frustration, and you also end up procrastinating it. So if you can remember the reasons, one of the reasons for a person to be late was that you may be procrastinating or you may be overwhelmed and anxious. Well, this is a good way. You're procrastinating because the thought of getting ready is anxiety induced. You have to run around, do a lot, be really stressed about the time, keep on looking at the clock. That is what brings you anxiety. And that brings you anxiety because, when you're heading out, you're going to have to rush through traffic, rush through the hall or whatever, and try to get there on time. But you will still be late because you are definitely late even now. So to avoid procrastinating and to avoid overwhelming anxiety, try to make getting ready or getting somewhere as stress-free as possible. And one of the major things that can help with that is leave enough time or leave enough room for you to do the things that you need to do. I do this a lot. Don't try to do this. Don't try to cram all that you need to do in 30 minutes. And then that's where the anxiety is going to come from. That is why you're going to start procrastinating about being on time, right? And now that you have these priorities straight, now that you know you need a reasonable amount of time to get ready, let's work backwards from there. Let's list all the things you can do, you need to do, or you can do, and do them, but also think about the time needed to do them. For example, if you need to make a proper lunch, and if you need to prepare your breakfast, and you need to maybe iron your clothes or take a bath, maybe think about delegating days to that. Instead of trying to do that in the 1 hour you have in the morning, maybe you make dinner beforehand and you have your clothes set out on the chair the night before. And when you get up in the morning, you can easily just go into the bathroom, wash your face, and, just get yourself refreshed, come back, just wear those clothes that you've already laid out, eat the breakfast, like overnight oats are a good example that you've already prepared in the fridge, and take the lunch that you packed previously. How simple is that? A little bit, maybe 30 minutes of effort just to organize all these things on the previous night may help save you a lot of stress in the actual morning that you're going. And I never said that being on time is easy. It does take a little bit of effort, but that effort will give you a lot more in return in terms of everything, in terms of opportunities, respect people have for you, and just overall how you get through life. You're going to be less anxious and less overwhelmed. So now that you have all of those in place, how do you start getting ready in the morning? Because if you have to head out with your siblings or with your family members, that can be really difficult, because I know for a fact that my family, if you tell them to head out by 8, that is never gonna happen. They will head out by 10 maybe, or even later than that. It is just very frustrating, and that's one of the reasons why we can't hang out as a family often. So one thing is working backwards to how, for example, if your meeting starts at 9 and you need to get there, leave a room for maybe 5 minutes, 8:50, 8:55, you get there, and it takes you 30 minutes to travel to the school, considering traffic, considering, you can't just fly over all the cars. The actual map route is taking you 30 minutes. You might head out at 8:20. Now, working backward from there, it may take you don't be over ambitious. You can't get ready in 10 minutes. Maybe leave yourself 30 minutes. So you start getting ready at 7:50 or 7:45, 7:40. Leave yourself a bit of room, because initially you may miscalculate a lot, and you don't want to do that and like jeopardize your own efforts. So now that I have a cutoff time, I've worked backwards. I found a cutoff time which is 7:20, 7:45, 7:40 for me. I will, as soon as whatever I'm doing, I will leave everything at 7:40 and start getting ready. So then this timeline that I made has a lot of gap for error. So I will be able to get to my meeting by 9 if I start getting ready exactly at 7:40. You can be someone who just gets up and gets ready and that's it. That's all they do. But I like to be a little bit more relaxed in my morning, so I leave a bit extra room to like move around and actually have breakfast and maybe call my family. So obviously that takes time, but if you schedule that time into it, think about it backwards, then you can actually get those done. Another thing is, which I realized, is don't start playing a podcast or start taking a call. You know how people do that and get ready at the same time? That's not gonna happen. You will be distracted. You need to acknowledge 100% when your attention is not there fully. You will get distracted. You will get slower. You will lose track of time. So don't start playing a podcast or start calling someone when you're trying to get ready. It doesn't help. Try to get ready before and maybe call them for 10 minutes or listen to a podcast then. So avoiding distractions is a major thing. You need to turn off that TV or Netflix or whatever is going on. And the last thing is seeking accountability from friends and family, not only for yourself, but also for them. So if you're heading out and you're the person being late, then don't lie for the little things. Tell them so that they know and they can prepare accordingly. If they're about to head out and they ask, okay, where are you now? And you say, oh, just about to head out, when you know it'll be 30 minutes before you actually reach the place. Don't tell them you're about to head out. Maybe they're at home and they're heading out, or they're on their way and they were thinking, let me just do this other thing. But when they hear that you're about to be there in 5 minutes, they just leave it and go to your meeting destination. So don't do that. That's not nice. Just tell them that it'll take you 30 minutes. And when I came here, I realized that people do that. When they aren't able to make it in time, they just say, I will be 30 minutes late. And usually everybody is okay with that. But if you keep on saying, I'm almost there, essentially what you're doing is you're delaying, making yourself feel like you're doing something wrong, but you're actually making that person wait for you for 30 minutes instead of them expecting that you will be there in 30 minutes and being able to do something else in that time. So don't lie for little things. That's not something you should do as a Muslim. And it's also said that, oh, you who believe, fulfill your contracts. So do what you've promised. If you tell them you'll be there on time, be there on time. If you can't, just tell them that. And if you have struggles with this, maybe share a live location or something. Maybe that will help you stay accountable. But ideally, just tell them straight up, and that will be a lot better for everybody. Another way is when you're the one being on time, but your friends or family are not being on time. A good idea for that is establishing clear boundaries and just doing what you said you would, even if it means moving on, leaving them, or like going to another meeting. For example, my mom he said that we need to head out at exactly this time, and people are there. If he says 8 a.m., everybody will be at the door at 8 a.m. That's how much they believe in what he says he's gonna do, and he's actually gonna do it. So establish your boundaries and do what you've actually said you would. My little brother, he was late when my mom said they will head out at 8 a.m. and he left my little brother. So that's holding them accountable. So next time, my brother wouldn't be late because he knows that if he's not there on time, he will just be left, right? But with my dad, it's totally opposite, because if he says we will head out by 8, everybody knows that just ambitious goal that's not going to be fulfilled, and maybe with difficulty, with a lot of struggle, going to head out by 10. So don't be the person who just says something that they won't follow through with. So establish your boundaries. And I know it can be hard, especially in a work setting, if your professional colleagues are never on time and you don't know what to do. And it might be hurtful or it might be offensive to them initially, but do this. Set a meeting for an hour, and if that meeting is supposed to end at 11, tell them the meeting will end at 11. So our meeting is 10 to 11 and I have another meeting at 11:30. So you wait there till 11:30, and if they're still late or if the meeting started late, leave exactly at 11:30 to go to the next meeting. Now they will know that you have limited time and your time also matters, so they will respect that. I feel like a lot of people, when you tell them that you have to go somewhere by 12:30, they may ask you why is it urgent, and you might say that, oh no, it's just I have to do this other thing, and then they treat it as an open invitation to just take your time. So be serious about your time, be serious about the priorities you've set for yourself, and be like, yeah, it's serious, I have to be there exactly at 12:30. You won't be late for a surgery, right? Come on. So treat everything with equal importance, and the people around you will start doing the same. And there's a huge emphasis on punctuality in Islam because of prayers and forming good habits, fulfilling the promises that you've given people. So even if people around you are being late, be on time. Be on time a couple times so that you've established that you are no longer going to be the one who's late, so that they also show up on time. And I know, because I've been part of a huge group which always, like, if the time was 9 a.m. and then it was written on the posters that we're gonna head out by 9:15, the group would end up waiting till 10:15 or maybe even 10:30 sometimes for the people who are still not there. So in that scenario, I wouldn't want you to just go at 9 a.m. and start waiting over there. Ask the host that you will come exactly at the time that they are gonna head out. So please tell them until which time will they actually head out, and then come at that time. I know it's hard, but make that clear. Tell them that you will arrive on that time, so you need a proper time. Another thing that I think helps is polishing your own time management skills. Like, can you imagine if you have to have a friend's outing on a Saturday and you have to meet for 2 hours, but you can't get anything else done on that day? Do you realize why that is? Well, I've gone through that. We had a friend meeting where everybody was like, yeah, let's get together at 12 at this place. And at 12 or nearing 12:30, we were like in the group, yeah, what's the plan? Are we getting together, right? Everybody was like, yeah, we're getting together. And then it was pretty slow. We met there at the restaurant at 3. So 12 to 3, even before that, all the time is just spent thinking about, oh, are we heading out? When are we heading out? When are we actually getting together? So you could be getting a lot more done if you're actually on time to places, because then you can schedule that time in and how much time that will take and how long will you be actually there. So that's pretty important. Time management really helps you a lot in a lot of things. And so far, I think that's about it for today's episode. We talked about the pros of being on time, the repercussions of not being on time, how you can get through them, mainly just leaving yourself enough time to get ready, working backwards, so creating a timeline. This really helps me, just working backwards from the time you have to get to that place, seeking accountability from friends and family, but also holding them accountable for that time, and setting realistic goals so that you can get more in the time you have, inshallah. And that's just praying and just keep on like trying to improve your own habits and trying to improve your own discipline so that you can make it a consistent habit. And I'm really proud of you for being here and for actually taking steps to improve yourself, even though that may not come naturally. But believe me that you can always change habits when you set your mind to it. And best of luck. I will also be working on my own habits. So that's it for today. Assalamu alaikum, and have a good day wherever you are and whenever you're listening, and inshallah be on time.